Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Tina Ray. I'm an educational and child psychologist, and I've been developing this series for teens and tweens to support mental health and well-being. Today's session, number 12, is a quick focus on body image. So what is body image? Everyone's got this. Everyone has a body image, and it's about what we really think and feel about our appearance, how we look. But our body image has very little to do with what we actually look like. It's how we feel about it. Anyone, whatever they look like, can have a positive or negative body image. And that's quite important to remember. If you just do a little activity as you're listening to this or after this session, I think this is quite helpful and useful, just to pick up a mirror and take a look and think to yourself, what is it that I actually see there? How do I feel about this person, the way that they look, the way that they are, as I perceive them by looking in the mirror? And think about this very carefully. Just jot down your first responses, whether you see something that's positive or negative, something that you feel happy about or very sad about or anxious about. What's really important here is that if you have two lists and you've got some positive comments, if you've got really lots and lots of negative comments and worries and concerns about your appearance and how you look, then this is clearly something that you need to gain some support with right away and go and talk to a trusted adult. Okay, so if you're writing lots of negatives down here, very important, because there could be a problem for you here. Body image is really how we see ourselves when we look in the mirror. Okay, or when we picture ourselves in our minds. It's what we believe about our own appearance, and that can include memories that we've got from when we were much younger, children, young people, or assumptions or generalizations that we might have made about what is beauty, what is the excellent kind of body or physique to have. So how we feel about our body, including our height, shape and weight, and how we sense and control it as we move. Okay, it's about how we feel in our bodies, not just about our bodies. So it's about how we feel in them, how confident we feel in them. But for those of us who have some kind of dissatisfaction with the way in which we look with our body image, we call it body dissatisfaction. These are people who will worry regularly about how they look, and they'll get very anxious about their weight, for example, or might fear becoming overweight. They'll have a negative view of their appearance, and they can be quite obsessive with certain parts of their body that they'd like to change, so their nose or their tummy or their bottom, etc. And it's really important to remember this. These are people who will be continually comparing themselves to others and wish that they looked like them, and this can really dent your confidence and your self-esteem if this goes on and on without gaining some kind of appropriate support. What we have to remember is lots of the pressure and lots of the stress around how we look emanates or comes from the media, okay? And very often what we see on social media, on our phones, advertising, on the television, on the internet, are actually constructions, okay? They're not real reflections of reality. We have to remember that when people are advertising things, clothes, toys, whatever it is, and they're using models generally in order to do that, they are picking people who they then airbrush, okay? They'll make the images look really, really beautiful and perfect. This is because they're created to draw us in and make us buy whatever they're trying to sell. It's really, really important. We are only seeing what the advertisers want us to see. And we have to learn really over time to be more critically aware of what we're being presented with and recognize that these images are not really real. If you saw these people face to face, they wouldn't look like that. Because what this does, I think, for many of us is it reinforces this notion that there is something called perfection and we have to look that way. Actually, we don't. We just have to be happy making the most of what we've got and feeling good in our own bodies. So I'm going to give you some very simple top tips about promoting a positive body image for yourselves. There are three key principles here. Human beings come in many different sizes and shapes. We know this. and we have very different physical characteristics and ability. And we need to respect that difference, that diversity. It's really important that we value that. We don't all look the same. We all bring something else to the table. We need to respect the bodies of others, even when they're quite different from our own bodies. So fat shaming, being cruel to other people because of the way they look, because of weight gain or weight loss, etc., is very unkind and it's totally unhelpful. What we need to be doing, key principle here, is recognizing that everyone's body is a good body, and we need to make the most of what we've got and celebrate that. So some top tips here. What we need to do is remember that most people are so busy worrying about themselves that they don't notice you as much as you think that they do, okay? When they're not all thinking about us and thinking, oh, doesn't she look dreadful? Doesn't she look awful in that dress or that outfit? No one's saying that, okay? You've got to remind yourself as well that you're a whole person. You're not just a body. You're someone with a brain, with intelligence, with feelings and thoughts, cognitive processes. You are not just a body. And it's also important for all of us, male and female alike, to surround ourselves with good friends who don't put us down, who are supportive and are kind to us, compassionate and loyal. I also think it's important that we wear clothes that we feel comfortable in, okay? Things that we like, that make us feel okay in ourselves. And we don't try to conform to some kind of beauty norm. And very, very important, as I said earlier, is that we remember that most of the images that we see online, on social media, in advertisements, they've been edited, significantly edited. The people in those pictures don't actually look like that when you see them face to face. Also, very important, reflecting away from our body and being perfect. We need to just be a bit kinder to ourselves and do nice things, do things that help us to relax and feel good about ourselves. And also, don't say nasty things to yourself. Don't engage in that self-talk that puts you down, okay? Don't make harsh comments about the way you look. Oh, I look dreadful, I look fat, I look ugly, I look this, That's so unhelpful. And over time, it can be really damaging long-term to our mental health. Imagine that you're talking to a friend that you really love, someone you value very, very greatly, and make sure that your words reflect that when you're talking to yourself about how you feel you look. The key point to remember here, I think, when we're dissatisfied with the way that we look, very often that is based upon the fact that we believe the media messages that tell us beauty is an essential ingredient of happiness. If we're not a beautiful person, in the sense of the beauty norm of our society, if we're not a beautiful person, then we won't be happy. Now, there's a very, very interesting study from psychologists called Very Happy People. And it actually found that the happiest people were no more attractive than those who scored in the average range, okay? So very important. What's interesting here is that people who are happy think they're more physically attractive than unhappy people do. It makes sense, doesn't it? There are much stronger predictors of happiness than beauty. This is the beauty myth, okay? What really matters to us in feeling happier in our daily lives are those key relationships, relationships that nurture good, positive, compassionate, supportive relationships, and also a sense of meaning in our lives and challenging or interesting work or interests. So our passions, our interests, our hobbies, those things that we really want to do well at and excel. So that is really, really important to remember. Relationships and our sense of meaning and challenge in terms of our work and our activities are what really gain us that route to happiness, and we can achieve that more regularly on a daily basis if we focus away from this notion of the so-called perfect body. So in summary, remember, yes, very important to have a balanced diet, to eat healthily, but not obsess about it, okay? Exercise on a daily basis, again, 30 minutes a day of brisk walking, whatever it is that you engage in, football, playing, rugby, swimming, do something on a daily basis for 30 minutes. Keep that going. That it really does generate endorphin factors, but makes you feel good in your body, as does enough sleep, personal hygiene, appropriate skincare, just looking after your skin, for example. But Also, alongside this, really, really importantly, be compassionate, be kind to yourself. Don't talk yourself down. Don't say those nasty things. Think you're talking to someone you love when you look in the mirror. Challenge stereotypes and negative thinking. When someone fat shames someone, challenge that. Talk about why that is wrong, and value each other and yourselves for being a whole person. There are lots of sources of support out there, and I'm just highlighting some of them. If you do feel that this is something that's becoming or is an issue for you and you're worried about it, it's absolutely vital that you get help as soon as possible. Eating disorders and people who have disordered eating and have body dissatisfaction, many of them can recover very, very well with the right kind of support. But what really helps is if you get that support, if you ask for it as soon as you begin to get worried or concerned. So there is the Mix, which is a free talking service for young people under the age of 25. Young Minds Crisis Messenger, again, 24/7 text service. You can use that if you really do feel you're going through a mental health crisis, and it provides help and support with eating disorders. Anorexia and Bulimia Care, another helpline, as is Beat. This really specifically offers support for people who've got eating disorders and their families. So there is a lot of support out there. So if you feel you need it, please ask for it straight away. So again, I'm asking you to create your own toolbox of well-being here. And this is just one of the topics in the 20 session series. But body image is an important one, because when we are younger, when we're kind of, tweens and teenage years, this is something that can become very, very problematic for us. And we really need to try and prevent this from escalating and becoming a very significant issue. So think about how you manage this now. Think about how you feel about your body. And if you do feel that you need some additional support, then please go and ask for it. Okay. Thank you very much for listening. I hope this was useful. And I hope that you'll join me in session 12 of this series, which I'll be recording next. Thank you.